Okay, so I would like to build a CSV reader in C because I think I might suck at file descriptors, like reading files without, high-level language. So I want to be able to practice that a little bit. So yeah, I thought CSV reader would be like a nice thing. I don't know if there's already there's probably already a third-party library in C for it, but it's fine. We'll build our own. So there's not, CSV is one of those ones, well, just to introduce, CSV is the sort of data format, file format where typically you'll have sort of headers that are comma separated, right? Comma separated values, that's what that stands for. Usually you have headers, and then which represent kind of the field name, I suppose. And then for each subsequent line, you'll have a record, which consists of the elements for each field. So for example, if the headers are ID, name, and email, then the first record is John with this email, john.doe@example.com, with an ID of 1. And you can see that each value is separated by a comma. And this is the other record. So it's, each line represents a new record, and the values of the fields are comma separated. So that's how that works. So it's fairly straightforward for the most part. There is a few kind of edge case rules. For example, let's say you wanted to put a comma probably is a good example. Let's say you had like a field like, I don't know, name. Whoops. What the heck? Hang on. You had a field like name as your header, and then like the value beneath it was like imagine someone's name for some reason has a comma, right? I don't know if that's a thing, but so like B-O and then like comma B, and that's their name. The risk is that because there's a comma and we're using commas as a way of separating between field values, CSV will naturally think that this is two separate elements, two separate values, when this should be considered as one thing. So what we do is we wrap, the expectation is this entire thing should be wrapped in double quotes. And this is just a Wikipedia article. I just took an extract from the Wikipedia article. That's what this says. So if a field contains a comma, then this entire string should be enclosed in double quotes. That's what this is. Same thing with if you actually need a double quote as well. So like if instead of a comma you had B-O quote B, you would expect this to be wrapped in quotes as well. More on this in a second, and finally, yeah, if you've got a line terminator character like a \n or is it \r line, this is line feed, this is something else. This one, what is this? Carriage return and line feed. That's the one. I think from memory, this is line feed and this is carriage return. So if you have that kind of character in your actual name for some reason, B-O, new line B, then they should also be wrapped in double quotes. So if a comma, a quote, or a \n or \r, line feed or carriage return, exists in the actual value, then you'd expect the field to be wrapped in double quotes. And then speaking of double quotes, the last little rule is if you want to have a double quote in your name, in your value, if you want a double quote, you actually, if the original looks like B-O comma B, B-O quote B, double quote B, then what it should look like in the CSV file is, like we said before, it should be wrapped in double quotes, right? But then we actually put two quotes, like two sets of double quotes to represent the single double quote. Yeah, so like this is basically to be able to differentiate, because it's very easy if I just put one, if I had the exact same thing, but I didn't put two sets, I only put one set of double quotes, then it's very easy to think that this is the entire value, because you got one quote and then another quote and then this is the whole thing, which will be a problem, right? We want this entire thing in red to be the whole value. So by using two sets of double quotes, there's a way for us to be like, hey, this is actually, not the end of my string because we're using two double quotes. And that's all this is saying. So if a field is enclosed in double quotes, that is to say, if a value has double quotes in it, then the double quote embedded in the field, in the value, should be represented by a sequence of two double quotes. So yeah, if originally you have one, then in the CSV file, you should have two. So these are kind of the requirements, and this is just Stack Overflow, me double checking that this is what it meant. Yeah, so shout out to this guy. Oh no, sorry, this guy. Both of them. Good job, both of you. So yeah, so I'm pretty confident that there's not too many rules involved in CSV. The general ideas are there. And to be honest, my goal with the CSV reader is more so to have numerical data, because I'm kind of hoping to like use it for more numeric data if I was to use it, more so than like people's names and stuff. So we'll see. But I would like to build a CSV reader, parser, that could handle basically all the rules, not making any assumptions. Now, you can imagine that, for example, there's like data types. It's easy to think that, name is a string, and email is a string, and ID is an integer. CSV doesn't care about types at all, right? It just thinks of everything as strings. So I think for now, at least, I will probably just keep everything as strings, right? So like, even if it's one character, strings, everything is strings. And then maybe have like helper functions that, if the user wants, can pass a particular column or pass particular values as integers or floats, maybe, that kind of thing. We'll see. So yes, my general requirements, my general goals is like, follow the CSV rules, including the weird ones, the ones about commas and quotes and all this stuff, like these 2 points. So follow the CSV rules that are specified. Generally, what was I going to say? Keep everything as strings for now, right? No need to do any extra parsing. And then the other thing I'm thinking of is, because I guess this sort of idea of building this kind of was motivated by all the CSV data I've been looking at, like in machine learning contexts. So, you think about how much data is being used to train a model. It's usually, a crap ton. So if this is like my data, if you imagine trying to load all of this into RAM, it can be a little bit dicey because you like load a shit ton. So, and you run out of resources. So in that sense, it might be a good idea to be able to load like a batch, like a batch of 30 or something at a time, like some kind of arbitrary batch size, depending on the user's sort of goals. So like load all data at once as like an option, and then like as a separate option, load one row or one entry record at a time as like a separate option. And like as in the general case, it's like load batches of size k at a time, or whatever. So like this is my priority. Like this is major priority, being able to load everything in and read it correctly. And then trying to do it one at a time, and then trying to do it in batches. I think that's what they do. Like, because otherwise, I mean, it's a little bit more annoying, I guess, doing it in batches, because you got to keep like going back and forth between like, you grab a little bit of data, work with it, then come back, grab a bit more data, work with it, and then come back. So it's a bit more annoying in terms of like, I guess, number of instructions you have to execute, because you got to keep like doing this, as opposed to like one big grab and one big sort of return. And then you just work, like you grab all your data, bring it back, and then work on it. But I think it is worth it if you do have enough data to do it in batches. So this is kind of my overall goal. But first things first, we just want to be able to pass all the strings in a row. So things I need to know how to do is like read a file. Read a file. In terms of structure, I'm thinking like surely just use like a dynamic array, 2D dynamic array. So like you'll have an array which will be of which will hold a bunch of pointers. Each pointer will point to another array. And this array, each element will be a string, but let me think, because characters, C doesn't have strings like that, so what do I have to do? Is it another pointer to a string? Is that how this works? It's like a 3D char array. No, but you can think of it as a 2D string array basically. So this is like of type char star, and so this would be like char star array. Is this right? Am I leaking out? Char. Is it 3 stars? Is that what I have to do? No, I can do like this surely. Like 2D or something. Right? Is this legal? Am I allowed to do that? Surely. It's been a while. But yeah, so basically a big array where each element is an address that takes me to another smaller array where each element has, I think it is an address to wherever the string is being stored. From memory, I might have to use what's that function? strdup, I think, to like copy the string from the CSV file, which I assume is like read-only memory or something. Copy it over to like my active RAM, so I can easily access it and just get an address to it. Okay, let's do this. I think I can do this. So, I've set up a small repo for this. How would I want to start? I guess, first things first, I need to know how to read a file. So let's go with that. And I made like a little, maybe I can just use their example. ID, name, email. And then one bob at email.com. Alright, so like this is like 1 to 2, and I'll do 2. Hello at email.com. Alright, so things I probably have to include. Well, if I'm doing this properly, I won't do it properly. I'll fix it up later. Hash include string .h, and then hash include whoa. Yep. Do I need other stuff? Probably, but it's fine. So, what kind of functions do I want? I need to be able to kind of open the file, read in some amount of time. Okay, let's say first goal is just to open the file and read stuff. I don't even know what that means, but we'll just because I need to figure this out. So int main, we'll just make a random int function, main function, sorry. And I just need to figure out how to do this. I think, is it like hash include f? Is it this one? Is this the file? Does this work? Control over descriptors. That sounds right. File des. Oh, this is. Oh, right. This is the actual function. Fopen, is it? Man, fopen? I'm trying to remember what I'm. Oh, this is in this. Okay, cool. Maybe I don't need that library then. Okay, so for now, I'll hard code the file name. Obviously, in future, we'll pass it in as a thingy. F open. What is restrict mode? Oh, it'll be like so like this is called. I'll put this inside here just so that there's no like annoying path errors. Example.csv. And then restrict mode, I assume is just like R or something for read. Yeah, okay. And it's a string, which is why it's char star. Okay, and then it returns the file descriptor, I assume. File F. Did it work? Wow, how fantastic. So we did that. That's cool. Plus means it's for reading and writing. I don't have to write those, that's fine. And then how do I read stuff? Read? Nope. F dot. Okay. I don't actually know how to check this now. FD open. FD open. Oh god. Okay. And then what happens if something bad happens? So if it's successful, this one returns the file pointer. Otherwise, null is returned. Is set to indicate. Okay, so I should check that. If f is the null pointer, then how do I? Is that f print f? And then I can set it to standard error. That's right. I think it's this. Failed to open the file. Yes, and then exit. Ooh, I think that's standard library from memory. Cd lib. Fantastic. Exit out of there. Terminate, destroy. Alright. Now, otherwise, if that hasn't happened, then we're pretty confident that we've got the file that we want. And then how do we read? Oh, wait, no, I know what this is. It's like F get C or S. C? S? Maybe C. F gets, and this is like the safe one, right? This is like the good one because it's got an F in it. So yeah, given the particular file input file stream thing, I think this is right? F file pointer, that sound looks right. So F get C obtains the next input character from the stream pointed at by the thing, or the next via unget. Yeah, this is I don't think I'll need this, but yeah. And it returns an integer, but that integer is the char, like it's the ASCII value, right? If successful, okay, so we'll say, if I just say char C, that should be fine, right? And then print F grabbed character is equal to %C. If the stream is at an end of file, the routine returns EOF. Ooh, is EOF -1? I think if C is less than 0, I think that's safe. Then print F standard error getting character failed. Big sad. Alright. So all that happened, and then okay, let me see if I know how to write things. This, yeah, okay. How do I compile outline? Let me get out of here, get into source, and then yeah, slang CSV. Yeah, because ID. So what it did was it got into here and grabbed that. If I call that again, copy and pasting is bad, but what can you do? Copying and paste. This one, and then this one, Cool. So yeah, so it will move the file descriptor across. I think you can make the file descriptor jump around, but I don't think I have to. So that's good. How do you do that though? FD jump or something? Man file jump. Okay, I tried. Okay, so yeah, obviously I'm not going to copy and paste this over and over again. The goal is to, well, step one, oh yeah, I think I didn't mention this actually. So I said that typically, there's a header line, right? A line to describe what each subsequent value is representing, right? Like this column is for IDs, this column is for names, this column is for emails. That's what that's for, right? However, the header line is not compulsory, and that's said over here, this line. So the data can start with the header record, the headers, but there's not actually a legitimate way to check if your CSV file has a header line in it or not. In the sense that, obviously when reading this, as a human, we can look at this and be like, okay, these are headers, like ID, name, email, like we can discern that. However, well, traditionally, if you think about the format of CSV, you could think that ID, name, and email are just three values. Like you can imagine there's no header field, and ID, name, and email is just three values in this, like make up the first record, and one John.doe at example.com is the second record. You can imagine that this doesn't necessarily have to be headers from the computer's perspective. So my decision was like to put that on the user. So if a boolean flag headers equals true, then you need to skip the first line. In the sense that you need to be able to figure out, like, oh, I actually don't want any of these values. Maybe you could keep them somewhere separate, like read them in and keep them somewhere separate. But for the most part, you don't really want to put them in your main data array because they're not part of the data. They're like headings for the data, but they're not the data values. So that's something to think about. So yeah, for now, I'll just say booleans like aren't a thing, right? Unless you... Wait, what? Is it stead bool or something? Wait, I swear there's like a... Maybe it's not a thing. Oh, there it is, yeah. Sorry. And we'll say boolean headers, and because my example has headers, we'll say is equal to true, right? Fantastic stuff. So then we'll say if headers... Did I open the file yet? Yeah, I did. Okay. If headers, then char c is equal to f get c f, and what's the thing? While c equals to f get f. Hang on. Declare it first. Is not equal to new line. Oh, but there's also the other one. There's also dash r, isn't there? Okay, so maybe this is dumb. Hang on. Equals f get f. So while c is not equal to a new line. Oh no. And? Yeah. And c is not equal to a character term. Or this one, yeah. Wait, is this right? My boolean logic. Hang on. So c is equal to, you get the first character, you get whatever the first character is. While this is true, so for this to be true, this should be true, and this should be true, which means c should not equal new line, and c should not, yeah, okay, good. Sorry, just needed a minute, and then just call it again. And then just could have additional logic to capture the names of each header. but for now I'll ignore it because I don't care. Anyway, by the time we terminate out of this while loop, we are very confident that the file descriptor should be pointing at the new line, right? Because it terminated because C, which was the fget, is pointing to the new line. So we have that. That's fantastic. Okay, so now we know that we are sort of at the end of the headers, or sort of about to start looking at the data lines. So when we call this, we will hit the 1. So in fact, if I compile this again, fget C, sorry. There you go. Okay, let's try that again. Grabbed characters, yeah, good. So it skipped over the heading and then jumped on 1 comma because of those first 2 fgets. Fantastic. So from there, now what? How do I want to do this? I think it should be a separate function. I think main is going to get quite big if I try to do all this in one go, but so I think it'll be something like int, or not even, char star read row or something, given the file descriptor and given something else. It would be smart, because another constraint of this thing is the number of fields should be consistent, shouldn't it? Yeah, same number of fields. So, you know, if in one row there's like 5 values, one john.doe@example.com, and then there's like his age 57 and his height 167 centimeters or whatever. If that's 5 fields and then the next one has 3 fields like this, then there's a problem. So, you know, we're trying to do a bit of error checking as well. So maybe it would make sense to somehow read the number of fields as well. So like int get num fields or something. But the thing is, the file descriptor is like, every time I call fget, the file descriptor gets moved. So how do I bring it back? Unget, is that what maybe I do, but do I really want to do that? I don't need to do this separately. Whatever I do first, if headers, I'll have like int num fields equals -1, just to indicate that's not been set yet. And then if headers, and then something like number of commas will be similar to number of, well, number of commas that aren't wrapped in quotes, maybe, I'm not sure. Oh, this can get quite tricky. Number of commas will be similar to the number of fields. The reason why I say similar, not equal or whatever, like I don't think I can form an exact relationship yet, because I think you can have the last value have a comma after it. I could be wrong. Let me check that. Can a row or a line in a CSV file have a comma at the end before the new line? Yeah, okay, I think I have read this somewhere. A trailing comma can cause data parsing issues. I will try not to. But I don't know, does it say that here? A line terminated. I thought I had read that here, which is why I thought of that. I don't think I would have just made that up. A line is terminated, yeah, using that. A line terminator is optional for the last line. A line terminator, like a specific character, maybe that's different though. Yeah, you read that one. Each field containing should be enclosed. Any field may be enclosed in double quotes. If a field is enclosed in double quotes, then a double quote embedded. Now we read that. Okay, well, I'll back Gemini for now. I will say that, yeah, potentially there might be an extra comma at the end, which will make things a little bit less predictable. Plus, if I was to be counting the number of fields by using like, especially the values, a value row, but also can a CSV header have a comma in it? Yeah, okay, that's what I figured, yeah. So like this is one field because it's wrapped in double quotes, even though there's a comma here. So that's the other issue. Like if you're counting number of commas, potentially there might exist a comma that doesn't actually separate two different fields because it's part of the field name, you know? So number of commas isn't exactly, there's a bit more detail involved. But for now, we won't bother. Yeah, and then basically given it, so yeah, for now we'll just say char star does it have to be double? Get row given a file pointer f. Okay, so I'm probably gonna have to do a bit of malloc real quick, which is gonna be annoying because I have to remember to I have to remember to free my resources. So what do I have to do? While char c is equal to f get c, I could do f get s, couldn't I? But that would read like the whole. I feel like that would read too much. I don't know if I would read the right amount of stuff. F get c, f, and then while c is not equal to the new line and c is not equal to what? Not equal to that guy, then we're pretty confident that we're still on the same line. Alright, so we're gonna have to handle some logic. So boolean, like we're gonna need something to indicate if we are I'm trying to think about how to deal with the quotes. Opened quotes equals false. Like, have we encountered a quote yet, like an opening quote? If it's not that, then if c is equal to quote, double quote, and open quotes and not open quotes, then open quotes is equal to true. Else if c is a quote, I'm like trying to deal with all the annoying cases, and open quotes I have to check if the next guy is also a quote, because if it is, then that's just like a regular quote. That's not like a proper, you know what I mean? I think there's a way. Can you peek at the character after one character after a file pointer in C? And then unget it. Okay, yeah, fair enough. I guess I did know that. Else if C is equal to this, char like peek is equal to f gets cf if peak, if peak is also a double quote, then what? I think I can make C equal peak almost. Like I can make C equal that single double quote because I kind of want to merge them together, right? I don't really want to think of it as two double quotes anymore. I want to think of it as a single quote. I'd have to like append the one instance of the double quote to the string I am building. You know what I mean? Else if C is equal to a comma and open quotes is true, then append the comma to the string I am building. The string like value, I mean, like the value that I'm building. We have not found the end of the value here. If C is a comma and we're in the open quote, like if it's like this, for example, then this is not, like this comma does not indicate the end of the thing. Okay, yeah. If C is a double quote, then yeah, C is equal to peak, and then push that on. Else, if it's not a double quote, then we have found the end. Open quotes is equal to false. It would be pretty bad if you had something like this, right? Like you had open quote, field, close quote, not a double, not doubled up, just a single, just one instance of the double quote, and you had more stuff before the comma. That'd be bad, right? So I'll say else if peak is equal to the comma. That's good because that's what we expected. Else, for now, oh, this is wrong. Hang on. For now, all I'll do is I will say fprintf standard. I'll make it crash because I think that's weird. I think this is illegal. Closing a quote should have a comma after it. I think. Whoops. I think. Alright, and then exit. Okay, it's getting a little bit ugly now. I've got to see if I can be a bit cleverer. So we read in, let me just check this. We read this in. If C is equal to a quote, and we haven't opened the quote yet, then, you know, we have to open the quote. Else if it's a quote and we've already opened the quote, we check the next guy. If it's another quote, then the double quotes with an open quote state indicates that this is actually like a quote that is part of the value. So we handle it that way. If it's a comma, then we're like, okay, we have to close the open quotes because we found the end of that quote. We should also push the built string, like Bob, for example. We should, how do I do that? We should push the built string to the overall row array, right? And I think we can also just unget C, whatever. Wait, what was it? Unget C. Is that safe? Wait, what? Oh, okay. But we peaked and the file descriptor. I really should use a better thing than F, shouldn't I? F as a name is a bit bad. Is unget C safe? Since sf get C won't hit end of file when you get the backslash. Okay. Run once without an intervening read or buffer file positioning operation. Ah. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to assume it's fine. So maybe I won't push this yet, because if I'm going to push back the comma, then when I find this comma in the state of non-open quotes, then I know that the string I built up is the, yeah, okay. Else if C is equal to comma, and it's not open quotes, then we have found the end of a value, push this value, string value, into the row array. Okay. God, I hope this works. Else if C is equal to a comma, then, yeah, okay. So, what's the time? 10:20, okay. If C is a quote, and we have not opened any quotes, then we open the quote. Else if C is a quote, and we have opened the quote, peak. If it's a quote, then just make C equal to peak. No need to push the file thing back. It's basically just, we've kind of passed everything we need to. Else if it's a comma, then we know that the quote we saw up here was to close this and this. Else, I'm not 100% confident. Could it be a new line actually? Yeah, it could, couldn't it? Or peak is equal to new line, or peak is equal to carriage return. Because like, for example, like this case, like you hit a quote and then like you hit a new line, then you just should close the quotes kind of thing, you know? I think that's fair. Kind of, you know, and the end of a thing. Else if C is not equal to comma. Yeah, so it will terminate when we actually reach. So yeah, if we push this back, then we'll terminate. So we might, when this terminates, just to write some comments, if this terminates, we might have like one more string to push to the row array. It depends if that string, it depends if the line ended with a comma, because my thinking is I'll use, so if it's comma, oh wait, this doesn't work, because you could have a new line in the field, couldn't you? So this is not a good while loop statement. If opened quotes, if not open quotes, and wait, hang on. I think I can fix it. If open quotes or C is not equal to this, or C is not equal to this. Does this work? So what am I saying? I'm saying if we're open quotes, then like we definitely haven't found the end of the line, because it's like this needs to terminate. Like this string that we've quoted needs to terminate before we can So if open quotes, then do the while loop. Or if it's not open quotes, if C is not the new line and C is not the carriage return, line feed or carriage return, then you're pretty confident that you haven't reached the end of the line. I think that's fair. Else if C is equal to new line or C is equal to \r, or if that's the case, then you know you've opened quotes because otherwise the while loop would have terminated. Right? Because if you weren't in a quote and C equaled new line, then this would go to false. This would go to false, which means this whole thing would go to false. So yeah, false or false. Yeah. So if this is the case, this is only going to happen if opened quotes is equal to true. But if that's the case, then you just have to add to the string you are building anyway, which is true for any other character. So I don't think I actually honestly, I think I can just say and not open quotes. And then I don't think I even need to explicitly talk about this case. If comma and not open quotes, yeah, so I think I don't have to talk about any of this. If it's comma, not open quotes, if it's a quotation and not open quotes, if it's a quotient and open quotes, either you're closing the open quotes or you're just putting a quote in there. Okay, I am pretty sure that we've done quite well. Add this character to the string you are building. Okay. So we're going to have to create some kind of char star line of size. Do I want to put a max size? 100 or something? Maybe that's not fair. Line or row is equal to malloc and then how much I want to give, right? I don't know. Oh, it doesn't do that. Okay, fair enough. This is for the whole row. How many characters do I allow for the whole row? 100,000. Row buffer. Wait, hang on. Am I tripping out? Is this saying how many? This is basically saying how many pointers I want, right? Size of char star. Do I really need 100,000? I guess yeah, 100,000 fields. Is that a lot of fields? I don't know. Yeah, I'll just drop it a little bit. So yeah, so a row is going to be an array of pointers where each pointer points to a char star. I think that makes sense. And then I just need to be careful because if I have char star current field, is equal to malloc field buffer. Surely not more than like 100 characters for one field. Just, I mean, I could resize, surely. Worst comes worst, right? Realloc or whatever. Char star current field equals malloc. Does that mean I have to make these variables and not constants if I'm like trying to be able to resize it if I need to? Probably, right? Char star current field malloc int pointer like field idx equals 0 or something, and then we'll reset to 0, and like int row idx is also equal to 0. Have I done this correctly? Who knows? Need to free. Okay, so what am I saying? Append one instance of the double quote to the string I am building. So I can just be like, what? Current field at the field idx plus plus is equal to the double quote. Right? C equals peak. Current field at the field idx is that guy. Cool. I think this is illegal because yeah, that whole thing. We have found the end of. Okay, if we found a quote and if we found a comma, then row at the row idx plus plus should equal to the current field. And then, do I have to realloc this? Or not realloc, do I have to do a new malloc like this? So I get like a new thing to put more words in. Just don't need to declare it again. Row idx, current field, current field, or field idx, I mean, equals 0 again, right? Else, current field at field idx should equal to C, I think. Yeah. And if we get out of all this, and if opened quotes, no, what am I doing? If the, I think it's fair to say if field idx is greater than 0, I think, then that indicates that we've filled up the current field with more stuff, right? And the risk is if we reach the end of that thing and we hit a new line and no comma, I only really put new stuff. I only put the current field in the row if we hit that comma, right? Like I put the 1 after I hit this comma. I'll put the bob in when I hit this comma. So this bob@email.com I don't think will be inserted yet because I haven't seen the comma to trigger it. I would have seen a new line which would have broken me out of this while loop. But before I broke out of the while loop, I would have put all of this stuff in the field, current field array. So, and the field idx would have been increased accordingly. So, I think it's fair to be like, if field IDX is greater than 0, then the row at row IDX, I can increase it one more time, is equal to the current field. So that's what this is saying. And then I think it's fair game to just return the row. Char star twice, it did match up. And like, obviously, yeah, I need to, wait, hang on. Is this right? How many bytes do I need to give? Maybe also times the size of a pointer. Obviously I need to free these things, but not now. I have to free it when I'm like done with the data, right? Like I don't think I can just, I think that's true. maybe this is just confusing. Like, of course I need to free the stuff I malloc, but like, not now, because this data needs to persist until you're done with it, right? So, okay, so my big prayer is that if I go, maybe I'll make a struct, because I want to keep track of the size as well. Struct CSV row, I think I need a thing at the end. Char double star row, and then int num fields or something. And so I'll return struct CSV row instead of that. And then instead of returning row, how do you do this again? Struct CSV row is equal to? Is this fair? Row is equal to row, and num fields is equal to row IDX, which I've been using to keep track of the size. Is this, oh wait, I need to give an actual, what's the good name? Row was what I've been using. Maybe just CSV row is fine. It can differentiate, right? And then return CSV row. What happens if I try to like do this like this? Does this work? No, yeah, fair enough. Okay, so my hope is that instead of, yeah, just copying and pasting, my hope is if I go struct CSV row first row equals get row given the file descriptor, and it is a pointer, so I shouldn't have to like return it or anything, right? So first off, printf number of fields in first row is equal to %d. So it will be first row dot num fields, and then wait a minute. If this is created on the stack, does that mean it will be wiped out when it returns? Okay, let me do it like this. Hang on. I'm confused. Wait, is that right? Is that fair? Struct CSV row first row, and then I'll pass it in as a address. Pass it as address first row, and then I'll just do that. I'll make this void, and then I'll make you struct CSV row pointer CSV row, and then I'll say CSV row at your num fields is equal to row IDX, and CSV row is equal to row, and then return nothing, because using pointers, I think. And then printf maybe do it as a for loop, hang on. For int I equals 0, I is less than... Oh, wait, I never put a null terminator. That's bad, right? All strings should end with a null terminator. Hang on. Okay, so when you're done with a field, wait. So when you're about to do this, before you should say current field at the field idx should equal the null terminator. Is that fair game? And then something similar here, maybe? Hopefully. God, I hope this works. I'll be so gassed if this works. I is less than first row dot num fields increment f put s. I need to say the string to put and the file to put it. What do I want to do? First row at I. Is this not right? Oh wait, no, this is wait, sorry. Row, then at I. No? Oh wait, sorry, it's not a pointer anymore. That work? Oh my god, it does not give me type errors yet. And then what, standard output? And like printf, comma, I guess. Keep going, there'll be an extra comma, and then printf new line. Did it work? How cool, oh my god. Oh, a bus error. Is debugging easy to do? Can I just click this button and good things happen? Is it extra work required or? Whoa, okay. Do I want to type in my password? 1041. 1041. Remember 1041. Sure. Whoa. What? Bad access. Oh dear. Okay. Wait. I mean, the good news is it just did it for like it actually ran, which is nice. Let me just chuck like a breakpoint somewhere. I don't actually know what I'm doing. It's been a while since I've used this. Can I do this again? Restart. Breakpoint. Oh, what? Okay. Oh, that doesn't look good. Current field. Whoa, that doesn't look good. Oh, unless it's just garbage. This is just garbage stuff because that's at the point. Yeah, okay, fine. So I don't need to worry about it too much. File descriptor is like just where we're at. Cool. Okay, so I'm assuming all this stuff is just relative, like row IDX, field IDX is all just, you know, whatever. Current field equals current field. Is this like, oh, right, dereference, sorry, yeah. So dereferencing whatever the address is, it's currently just empty, which I'm surprised about. I would have thought it was garbage, but fine. Taking row, you get a null and you can't dereference that, fair enough. I'd step in, right? Step over. What happened? Oh, bro, I didn't actually say F. I didn't say this, did I? I didn't like move on to the next. I remember thinking I should, but I forgot to. So after you do all this, you have to actually get the next character. Any chance? Wait, but bus error means like... Bus error means that it was like not even... It was like a memory get... Oh! Yeah, success. Maybe I don't know what a bus area is. I thought it was like memory bus, which is like it was unable to retrieve some data. So I got worried it was going to be like a something problematic, like oh like I was accessing read-only data and trying to write to it or something. But no, we're good. Okay, now we have to try all these random test cases I thought of. So yeah, the great thing is, well, it's not great, a little bit much, but the thing that I made sure was when you see opening and closing quotes, you don't add them to the field, right? So it's like you just ignore them, so they don't show up in your data, which I think is what you want. Okay, so let's try like what if I put like a double quote in there? I shouldn't have to recompile, right? Yeah, nice. So yeah, so it takes it as a single quote, puts it in, no worries, no dramas. All right, nice. What if I put a couple of commas? Nice, good. Nose to, because we're in the opening quote state, so good. And then see, there's like error types. Like, what if I put like an empty? If I put like an empty, what happens? Is that what I want? So like one and then Bob and then maybe instead of putting all in one line, because I think it's actually more tricky. I don't want to put any, instead of doing that, let me print f new line maybe, and just do that. Oh, I didn't put the semicolon. One, wait, what? Why is there spaces and stuff? Should there be spaces? So yeah, there's a random gap here because there's like an empty field, which I guess is fine, probably. But I'm a little bit confused. Why is there indentation? Wait, so this would be first row at row at I, where I is equal to 0, 1, and then character 0. I just want to see what it says because I'm a bit confused. Just want to see what the ASCII value is. Or I can do a bit of both. I can do this and this. And do this and this. So same thing twice, it's just one is the ASCII value and the actual character. I'm just trying to figure out if I like, oops, that was dumb. I'm just trying to figure out 32, is that space? ASCII value for space? Ah, because I put spaces, didn't I? That's probably why. Yeah, okay, yeah. So what happened? So I said 1, okay, I understand what happened. So it says, it got the 1, it got the comma, it put the 1 in the row, fine. Then it saw a space, added it to the row, added it to the field value, like the field array. Added it to the field array. And then saw like the quote and was like, oh, it's opening quote, so ignore it. Then it saw Bob, then it saw the closing quote, so ignored it, and then put all that together. So it was a space, okay. How do I want to do this? So we had all these cases. So the else, yeah, the else means that the space got added as well. So elif, not elif, too much leak code. Else if we haven't opened quotes, and what white space do I care about? Tabs and spaces? C is equal to space, or C is equal to a tab. There's probably others, right? Whatever, that should be good enough for now. Else, if it's that, ignore it. White space outside of quotes are not part of the value. Else, okay, let's see if that works. There you go. Yeah, now there's no weird indentation. Good. You can go now. Thank you. Okay, so the last step, minus like error correction, because not error correction, error detection. Sorry, because like I don't think I'm gonna have a very good ability. Okay. So I'm able to get one row now, right? I'm able to get one row. So what might make things easier if I have a struct CSV row thing. I want an array of these pointers, all called all rows, and then I probably need like a max number of rows. Again, it's probably not fair to have a constant. I think it might need to be variables that I double every time I need to realloc or whatever, but for now I'll just do it as constants. Equals malloc. Wait, what am I doing? This should be a double thing, right? Because I want it to be a pointer. I want it to be an array where it contains a bunch of pointers to, yeah, okay. So it's max num rows multiplies by the size of struct cs. If I'm doing pointers always, can I just... That's what's struct wrong. Whoa, what? Okay, so I have the space. Free. I put a semicolon, that's why. So, okay, so we do that. And then how do I like... char c is equal to f get c. F. While c is not equal to EOF, unget c, whatever c was, back into f, and then call this function. And then when you get that row, do I have to do this like each time? No, what? All rows at num rows equals the address of current row. I'm a little bit concerned that bad things are going to happen, but that's okay. So I know how many rows there will be, and I know how many fields there will be because it's CSV row. Okay, so for int row number equals 0, row number less than num rows, or num lines, plus plus current row number. Struct CSV row pointer CSV row current CSV row is equal to all rows at the row number. And then maybe I could have a helper to print everything, but for int field num equals 0, field num less than current CSV row dot num fields. Oh yeah, it was a pointer. Field num increments. Printf or fput s the current CSV row at the field num. So put that string down, and then what's wrong with that? Oh, I need to say where that should go, right? Standard output, please, and then printf. Just put a tab character, and then printf a new line, I think. So that hopefully we'll go through the 2D array and stuff. And then basically, I was worried about num fields, right? Maybe I can just do it here. If num fields is equal to -1, that we haven't set it yet, then num fields should be equal to the current CSV row dot num fields. Else if num fields is not equal to the current CSV num fields, then you might have some problems. Printf in the standard error. I believe you have different number of fields into lines. Do I want to exit? Probably not. It's not the end of the world for me. It will be at some point, but for now, I won't exit. Blah blah blah. For int field num is this one. Do all this. Fput the field, print a tab, and then put the next one, and then yeah. Okay, so let me make this sort of back to normal roughly. All right. Are there errors? Probably. But what can we do? Besides hope for the best. Damn it. Ah, but there was... Oh, I did the same thing. That's interesting. So what's happening? So you're saying I get the C, I never set it to anything new, so this while loop, I guess, continuously runs, but... Yeah, I'm assuming you're like continuously trying to access stuff that you can't really access or something. I don't know. That's probably what it is, right? I said memory bus is like you're accessing memory you shouldn't be accessing. You're probably accessing past the file, like the end of the file, so that's probably the problem. No! I'm transforming it, aren't I? Because I'm using... Oh, wait. I'm a little bit surprised because I thought since I redeclared it, I thought it would be like a like in the while loop I'm like declaring a new instance. I thought it would not do that. Do I understand how things work? Maybe I do need to just malloc the current row. Malloc size of struct CSV row, and then just do like this maybe. I think I just need to like make sure I have separate memory for each thing. Yeah, and then do all that, and then return this guy. And that means this guy has to be struct CSV row star. Do all that, and then Don't do that. And then do this, I think. So we'll give you the pointer that you've mallocked. So that should preserve because you mallocked it. And then you give that to all rows at num rows. Please work. That's better. Oh, I put the quote in there. All right, so just quick freeing. So let me I'll just do this and see what I did. So all right, so we'll say void free resources. Given the all rows. Okay, wait, real quick. So given the, what was the big resource I had? That contained everything basically. CSV, this guy, all rows, so struct CSV row, all rows, and the int number of rows, which I should have. Okay, so for int current row equals 0, or maybe row number is better. For each of that, what do I have to do? So what am I accessing? All rows at the row num gives me a pointer to, to the actual struct CSV row current row is equal to that. What's wrong with that? Oh, I didn't forget to put the address. This one. So now I have the struct. I have this guy. So now I have to for int field num equals 0, field num less than current row num fields plus field num. So I think I can say free at current row, and then access the field num. Because what I'm accessing is what I mallocked here. Every time I created a new field, I would malloc like this. Hang on. Once again, I think I meant to say times this. I think. Anyway. Yeah, so we have to free each of these mallocs. So I think I've just about done this. And I've done this one, I hope. And then all rows I have to do, I have to, wait, no, sorry, I haven't done this one. I've done this one, haven't I? So I've dealt with that, and then I have to free current row, the actual row itself. So that refers to this guy. Done. And only after those inner resources are complete, I think I am safe to free the actual current row. And then it will do it all over again. Free resources. all rows. That was like something I set, right? Yeah, okay, good. Now, only extra pet peeve I had from myself was I don't like that I call this CSV row. I don't want to have the same thing twice. So CSV row, if I, what should I call it? CSV row, info, maybe? Alright, that should be fine. Okay, nothing broke. This is when like using sanitizers is helpful. Just add more. Benjamin. What happens if I like... So yeah, let's say I try this, right, where it's not the same number of fields. Good, yes, very good. I believe you have a different number of fields in 2 lines because if we would have set number of fields or... Okay, I gotta be a little bit careful because number of fields... Maybe I'll just say global num fields, you know? Wait, what? No, not... Okay, I think I handled it. Nice. Okay, yeah. So global num fields is like, you know, what the overall number should be based on the rows I've read in. And then if at any point a row doesn't have that many, then we got problems. Benjamin. Benji. Fantastic. 4. Donkey. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is really driving the point home that, you know, typing isn't actually that important. You can put a decimal number and then a thing, and nothing bad will happen. I can put a trailing comma. Oh yeah, did I test trailing commas? Hang on, let me just make sure this works first. Don't have to compile it. Ding, 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 ding. Very good. And then yeah, so let's just test some other stuff. So like, if I have 1, 2, 3, and then a trailing comma, does that handle it no problem? It does. What if like, what else could you do? See, like, I think the issue is like with spaces, like, because right now I think what will happen is it will ignore the spaces and think of it, like, it will think the field is 3 backslash backslash backslash. I don't know why I put backslashes, but yeah, like, it will concatenate. I don't know if that's what it's meant to do. Like, if I put it in quotes, no problems, you know? It will, yeah, it'll put the spaces, because it knows that the spaces are part of the thing. But, how does CSV handle white space not in quotes? Oh, not enclosed in quotes should be considered... Oh, okay. So let me get rid of... Wait, let me check this source. I'm getting too, like, reliant on just Gemini. I mean, I believe it mostly, but... Double quotes, yeah, I know that. Wait, what? I'm actually kind of struggling to read. I'm like not really paying attention. What? So from the CSV spec, spaces are considered part of the field and should not be ignored. Okay, so these are, oh, these are the, this is the actual RFC. Okay. Within the header, there may be one or more Each line should contain the same number of fields. Spaces are considered part of the field. Yeah, okay. The last field in the record must not be followed by a comma. Oh. Excuse me? So I shouldn't even have trailing commas. Although, to be fair, if my guy can handle it, then is that really a big deal? But having said that, if the standard says to not, then I don't need this then. Because that was what was ignoring the... So now, if I do this, first need to compile, then there'll be spaces again, because it's not ignoring them. Good. And apparently this trailing comma shouldn't be there. But, yeah. There is a few more things maybe I could read, but security considerations. There are security considerations? I guess because, like, if you're reading some random file, I guess something bad could happen. Right. Okay, fair enough. Alright. I don't know if I've got sanitizer set up. The only extra thing is, yeah, just handling this realloc, but like, maybe I don't care. Maybe I don't care about until I actually get to a point where I'm using that much data. Because like, what I really what I should do is make a proper header file so that I can actually use it in other places. You know, I can actually include it without too much difficulty. Hash include. How does it work? If I just say csv.h, does that work? Does it know to look where to look? No. I haven't done this in a while. Is it like... Do I have to tell the compiler where to look? Ah. That worked. Did it work because I'm in this directory? Like if I went like this and I went clang source, it wouldn't work. Whoops. It wouldn't work, right? Oh, it would work. Oh, so it looks in here and then relative to this place, that's quite nice. Well done. Ah. Oh. Yes, because I hard-coded the file name. Fair enough. Okay, but generally, okay, that we'll cross that bridge. We'll do good practices later. For now, no, I can keep that. For now, I'll just run it inside my source. There we go, and things will work. I kind of back it. I do think, yeah, reallocation is the extra detail, and then also structuring it correctly and like making sure that this works and making sure I'm not limited, I guess, by. Like I really squeeze out as much of the resources as I can before the operating system gets mad at me. You know, I think I freed everything. I need to use sanitizers or something. You can't use a debugger for that, right? For like checking that you freed everything. Okay, so I'll end it here because I'm tired. But just to clarify, obviously I use the main function, but really the final function will have the following properties. Takes in file name. So wait, this is what? Yeah, that's parameters will be file name and has headers, a boolean flag. Yeah. And then we'll return all rows, which is of type struct CSV row double pointer. It returns that, and then yeah. But it should also, it should also have I also need to keep track of the size of the array, so maybe I should have a second struct. You know what I mean? Like in the main, I had the numRows variable, so I was just using that. But if I return this and have it, and I'm using it somewhere else, I need to be able to know how big the array is fairly easily. So struct row struct all rows info struct CSV row double star all rows and int numRows would be my thingy. And maybe also nah, that's fine because the number of fields is located within here anyway, so that should be fine. And then quote, semicolon, keep a bit of space there. Yeah, so all rows is actually going to be of type struct all rows info pointer, which contains, yeah, the all rows double pointer and then the number of rows. So I think if I'm going to free this, this is actually going to take in, hang on, so struct, what was I call it? All rows info pointer malloc size of struct all rows info, and then all rows info at numRows is equal to numRows, and all rows info at all rows is equal to all rows. And then free resources, we're going to pass in struct all rows info as an address, and then we're just going to say int numRows is equal to all rows info numRows, and we're going to say struct CSV row all rows is equal to all rows info. So that should mean that I don't have to change what the variables. And the only extra thing is after I've freed, this function now frees up to here. So the last thing I have to free is all rows info. I hope. Something's broken. Don't need that anymore. Just need to pass that in. Yeah. Just of this type. Boolean flag. Accompanied with a free, what did I call it? Free resources function, which given all rows should free all memory. Yeah. Okay. So let me just make sure it compiles. Whoops. Let me do that. Oh, right. Cool. Okay. Not too shabby. This needs to be rewritten. I reckon I could write this better, and structure can be better. But otherwise, not bad.